This is the Criterion Creeps podcast. And tonight is part 2, I guess, of
Sure.
5 films of John Cassavetes.
Sure.
We're doing A Woman Under the Influence from 1974 and Killing of a Chinese Bookie from 1976. First up, might as well go chronological order. A Woman Under the Influence.
Sure.
Synopsis from the Letterboxd. Mabel Longetti.
Sure.
Longetti?
Yeah, whatever. Whatever you feel is right, man.
Desperate and lonely. Is married to a Los Angeles municipal construction worker, Nick. Increasingly unstable, especially in the company of others, she craves happiness, but her extremely volatile behavior convinces Nick that she poses a danger to their family and decides to commit her to an institution for 6 months. Alone with a trio of kids to raise on his own, he awaits her return, which holds more than a few surprises.
What other surprises might there be, Jarrett? That makes it sound fun.
Yeah.
In a way.
Yeah. So, this here movie I had never seen before. This is one of, I guess, 2 of 5 of these I've not seen ever.
Okay.
This was all fresh to me. I had no idea anything going into this movie, other than I know it's very well regarded and had recently been mentioned in that new Charlie Kaufman movie.
Was it?
Yeah.
Explicitly?
Yes.
I don't remember stuff, dude.
Oh, RJ, it's the Pauline Kael review. She's talking about a woman under the influence.
I will remember the most insane shit that you would never think about.
If it's about your food and how you eat it and how you like it and names of certain dishes, you're like all over top of it. But you're like, hey RJ, you know that movie I'm thinking of ending things from like a month ago? And now you're like, huh? What's that? What's that?
Don't forget, I sometimes pull out random Canadian trivia facts that will blow your mind.
Yeah, if you want to hear about the ketchup chips.
Ketchup chips, or that Nesmith guy who invented basketball, who was Canadian. I'll tell you about him too. Anyways, I didn't remember, but I've seen A Woman Under the Influence referenced in a lot of other pop culture things.
What have you?
I think.
Like what?
Borat. I think they talk about it in Borat.
It's possible.
Simpsons?
So
I don't know.
So what did you think, based on this title, what did you think this movie was going to be about?
A woman who had a drug addiction.
Okay.
Is what I thought going into it without looking at anything.
Yeah, you do think substance abuse, right? Going into this.
It's an abuse of a kind.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah.
That's what I thought. I thought it was substance abuse.
Okay, fair. Yeah, nope, that's pretty accurate. I think most people probably would assume that. What I did not know, because I did not look up anything about this before starting it, was this movie has one of my OG boys from when I was a kid, Peter Falk.
Peter Falk. Is that Columbo?
That's Columbo.
What is he? One of your OGs from Columbo or something else?
Columbo. Because, man, when I was a kid, I thought Columbo was the coolest guy ever.
How come?
I don't know. I liked his way. I think it's because part of it was I loved Inspector Gadget as a kid, and I felt like Columbo was kind of like...
He's a stand-in for that.
Yeah, he's no Don Adams from Get Smart or anything like that, which is, Don Adams is the voice of that. But I felt like he was like, yeah, I like this, like... guy. He's walking around. He's like, I got these eggshells in my pocket. I'm trying to get rid of them. Columboing is brilliant. And so I was like, Peter Falk in a non-Columbo like role, a rare treat outside of Cassavetes movies, I guess.
Yeah. Do you think part of it is because you like the hat that he wears?
I like his trench coat. Is Columbo. I've got other opinions about his hat in this film and his general state of manner here. I mean, we got that classic Peter Falk lazy eye.
It's more of a
or is,
like
what do you call it? I don't know what you would call his eye.
not wandering. So I actually like. So my old roommate Scott, I think it's really similar. I can't remember what the fuck it was called. It's something with an S, but it's like where you get like
Jesus.
The eyeball gets like detached and
his
then
right
over.
eye was surgically removed when he was 3. It's an artificial eye.
Oh, is that what it is?
Fuck. I didn't know
I thought
that.
it was just like I don't know, from the people
I God.
I thought it was just
it
like,
totally is. Now that I see it in stills, it's like, yeah, that is well.
Hey, it fooled me. I thought it was real.
I just assumed he had like that one weird eye thing, and it's like, nope. That is a fucking fake ass eye in his head.
Does it say why it was removed? Was there something wrong with it, or did he do something?
Retinoblastoma.
Yeah, that's bad news. You don't want to deal with that. Trust me, I know about it.
Yeah, you're a doctor.
I know about a lot of stuff, Jarrett.
Yeah, a lot of things. So anyway, I like this Peter Falk chap. So I was kind of like, ooh, hey, and I also learned this week, RJ, that old Gina Rowland from 2 weeks ago when we last talked about Cassavetes. That's John Cassavetes' wife.
Yes, I thought you knew that.
I didn't know that because when we were talking about Faces, I knew we were talking about Gina Rowland, but I did not know. I just like, oh yeah, she's good in this, but I didn't connect the dots at all that was actually his wife.
I think you'd assume she's just one of his girls, which because like a lot of directors use a lot of similar actors.
People develop troops and they have like these small indie movies, like Seymour Cassel shows up in these things. Ben Gazzara shows up in other movies, and you see the same people. And I just like, oh, then when I saw her show up in this immediately, I was kind of like, oh, hey, it's her again. And then of course I looked it up and went, oh.
Yeah, and then I know last week you were just like, The Notebook is my favorite movie. I love The Notebook. I know Gina Rowlands is from The Notebook. I'm Jarrett Duncan. I love The Notebook. I know that's what you were saying a lot last week. So like,
well, you know who she reminds me of in this movie is Ellen Burstyn.
100%. Yeah. That's actually you're not known for your comparisons. I think I'm known for my comparisons of actors to other actors because I'm pretty gifted at that, like a lot of other things. But that's 100%. I agree with you. That's a good peg.
Yeah. It's like she was Ellen Burstyn before Ellen Burstyn.
Sure. Yeah, that's good. Yeah, I like that.
I think there's something also about the subject matter of this movie in general that kind of reminded me of Alice Doesn't Live Here Anymore. A little bit.
Alice Doesn't Live Here Anymore. What is that?
Martin Scorsese movie.
I've never seen that. It sounds. That's why it's familiar, but I've never seen that movie.
That movie is really, really good, and you should watch it. No, I think it's.
I trust you a little bit.
It's one of the I think secret good Scorsese movies that nobody talks about because it's about a woman. It's about a single woman with her kids, and single female mom woman, and like bounce, kind of like make a living and find like stability for her family and herself, and it can be a bad time. There's a lot of bad dudes out there.
Tell me about it. I see one every week.
Me too. Cool. So cool. A woman under the influence. Sure. So this movie opens up and Columbo is on the case. He is a city worker. And he's doing a bunch of jobs, and he's having some conversations, like on the phone angrily. It's like there's a lot of overlap, very Altman-esque, very 70s, very New Hollywood, and because he's supposed to get home to see his wife. Because that's what husbands are supposed to do, is get home to see the wife and the kids.
As a married man, Jarrett, my entire life is getting home. Got spend time with the wife.
Do you find that it's sometimes a convenient excuse?
Oh, I've used it a million times. I mean, not that it's an outright lie. It is true.
And do you do this and then slink off to the basement and say, "I've got to do some stuff, babe," and then you're like, "I got deadlines," and you just like. sit in the room in the dark and stare off.
I'd say about a third of the time. Yes.
I see.
So I'll be like, I got to get home to the wife.
Don't overplay your hand.
Yeah, I got to get home to the wife. And then out of the 3 hours that I might have with her, it's like I do have to do stuff. And I will do it. But I will also be in darkness alone. For me.
Beautiful.
On the toilet. So
beautiful.
Yep. Continue.
So we got Mabel.
Sure we do.
Stay-at-home mom?
She is a homemaker.
Yes.
I believe is the correct terminology.
The homemaker. Well, it's their 74.
It's something.
It's something. And something's happening with Mabel. We don't know for how long, or this is just like
what it is,
or what it is. When this film has like begun, but it seems like there's kind of a deterioration in her. So I can't remember exactly because this movie is like Cassavetes movies. They're kind of a little free flowing. And like in free flowing in a way where like things make sense where they are, but when you have to like recall like how you get there, because the movie's essentially very much like Faces, kind of carved up into like 5 acts, I suppose. Where like the first bit is her like kind of like being kind of like, oh, my husband's gonna not be home like all night, which is like that's kind of crazy. That's some pretty good OT, I think.
I mean, I've pulled similar gambits in my marriage. They don't end well, but in the moment, you do what you got to do. Right.
Because when the water main goes, someone's got to be there to get it taken care of.
It's the whole point of our podcast, isn't it?
So, he makes some promises. Hey, I'll be there. I'm going to take tomorrow off. I'm going to be here all day with you and the kids. It's just you and me, because she clearly really needs him to be there. And he's like, he makes a lot of apologies and like promises. And I mean, I don't know. I believe him. I believe this guy in his ridiculous denim bucket hat.
I mean, he was working.
He was. Yeah.
He wasn't lying.
It's out of his control.
Yep.
He's got to do it. Can't do it.
100%.
Can't do nothing. He's driving, I guess. Or he's like, I think he's in the back, right?
Yeah, from what I understand, he is a city worker at first, and then later you have this thing where they're like ascending a hill with a leveler, and you're kind of like, wait, how is this involved with like main lines in the city? But we don't need to worry about that.
Well,
don't worry about that.
It's Los Angeles.
Yeah, don't worry about that, Jared. Lots of stuff happens in the world,
So he's all tied up, and Mabel kind of goes out on the town.
In what kind of fashion?
Well, she kind of like she's talking to herself, going through something, some sort of.
She's working things out on her own accord.
Yes, and she
is one way to put that.
She goes to a bar and she sits down, with a man that she might recognize or acts like she knows.
She approaches him in a way that is like, hey bud, I know you. And then he goes, hello, my name is this. Who are you? Because you do think there's a familiarity there. Yeah. But the dude is like, I've never met you before.
But hey, when a lovely lady starts talking to you at the bar, it's all smiles and sunshine. And you're like, hey.
Is it?
I don't know. It is apparently here, especially when you're looking for some action, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, that's one way to look at it.
Yeah. So they're kind of like having some awkward flirting, and then he's like, hey, maybe we should get out of here. We can talk a little bit more privately somewhere. Hey, let's go back to your place. And she's like, yeah, okay. And you're kind of like, huh. And then soon enough, they've banged.
Oh, allegedly.
Oh, yeah. No,
presumably.
They did.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. And then it seems like, I don't know, she continues to like be kind of unspooling.
She's doing things that are not just out of character, but stranger in the grander scheme of things.
That's very imprecise of you to say.
I don't know if you know this, but the key to not offending anyone is to be vague and ambiguous.
Right.
It's a movie about a lot of things that are difficult, and it's something that we should all probably consider.
Fantastic.
How's that for a review?
Beautiful.
Yeah, she's being weird. She's acting out of character, and everyone's kind of like, "What's up with you, Mabel? Why are you doing weird stuff? Why are you going?"
Yeah. I'm trying to find the name of this guy again.
Dude, his name's like Jerry or Chris or some shit. It's a real generic name.
Yeah.
So she like goes to the bar. She's like, "Hey, bud, you're my best friend." And he's like, "Let's go to your place."
And this is only like what, the first 15 minutes?
Yeah, this is very, very early on. She takes him home. They do it. It's next morning. They do it allegedly. And she's like, "Hey, Nick, where are you?" And he's like, "Listen, lady, my name isn't Nick. Are you okay?"
Garson. Like, how could you possibly say that's a regular name?
Garson?
Garson Cross?
Yeah, that's the weirdest thing. Yeah, I remember now. It was either the most normal name you've ever heard or a name that doesn't exist. Garson is not a real name, right?
Well, you continue on, RJ. I'm going to look up Garson.
If anyone listening on YouTube is named Garson, fuck you.
It is a community of sorts.
I mean,
well,
Carson is a name I've heard a lot.
There's Garçon.
So what does that make? Like waiter? Garson
from Garson, Ontario, in the city of Greater Sudbury, or
could be.
It's a city of Greater Sudbury.
Could be. So she takes him home. And then she introduces herself in a weird way, but that's not too suspicious. But then when he's there, she mistakes him for her actual husband, and that's where suspicion really starts to arise. And you go, maybe Mabel is into not a good place at the moment.
Yep.
And then he leaves.
Yep.
And then your buddy Pierre Falk comes with his bucket hat, and he says, "Hey, I brought the boys."
The boys are here. They're back in town. Bust out the spaghetti.
Get some spaghetti. Get your D pants on because the boys is hungry, and we need some food. Now, Jarrett, I don't know about you, but if Andy, my loving wife, came home at like 6 a.m. and she had a whole troop of girls with her, and then she was like, "Make us some breakfast. Make us some spaghetti," I'd say, "Get these dirty whores out of here. I'm going back to bed."
Wow.
I know that's vulgar.
Can you repeat that?
I'm a character for a podcast. The point I'm trying to say, and I would expect her to do the same thing if I brought some dudes home. She'd say, "Get these cock swinging dudes out of here because I don't want no part of this. I'm not making spaghetti at 6 a.m. It's like, what are you, fucking nuts?
Hey, it's a different time. It's 1974.
It was a different time, but
and when your Italian Peter Falk man comes in with like just a fucking troop of men, hungry boys. And they're like, I mean, I don't know, they're not demanding it, but like, hey,
they're all very friendly,
and they're even a little bit like, oh, this is odd.
Maybe I
would like to be home with my family eating some like a tall stack and having a beer, maybe seeing my kids. But
that's the high life, if you ask me.
So this couple's got 3 kids too, cute little kids. They're always running around underfoot. Peter Falk, though, he's kind of like, she's acting a little unusual. I don't know. It's like, well, is she? But she is, because she keeps asking everybody what their names are. Going around the table in a very awkward way, and eventually,
it's a little weird.
And then eventually, Nick is kind of also like, this is getting a little fucking strange to me, and kind of gets everybody out of there. And then this is supposed to be the day off because now he's going to get some sleep. And is it Mabel has to get him off to school or Grandma?
Grandma. It's Mabel's mom.
Played by John Cassavetes' mom.
Really? I didn't know that. That's an interesting little tidbit. Where'd you get that out of the Criterion booklet or something?
I did actually read the essay.
I have that book because I own this box set, and I fully intended to read all of those things. Guess how many I've read?
0.
Yeah. I wanted to, though. Time didn't allow for it. That's how it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or is it actually? Sorry, it's actually not her mom. It's his mom.
No, I'm pretty sure in that scene it's her mom, because his mom is the aggressive one who's like, lock this chick up.
Okay,
She is unhinged.
That's his mom.
Her mom is her mom in the movie is way more understanding of her, and it's just like, that's Mabel. What are you gonna do?
Yes,
but
is it? And all the kids are climbing over on top of her, or like when Nick's like, "Come on, back to bed, come on," which is a very nice moment of domesticity.
It is, yeah. So the character Mabel's mom is cool. She's the one at the intro, and then the character of Peter Falk's mom is the one who's just like, this chick is
crazy.
So yeah, there's that distinction.
There we go. Okay, so this is like kind of like the beginning of like this decision that gets made, and eventually where she's just acting more and more erratic, and there is a party in the backyard.
Wait, after no. This is what happens. Sure.
Okay.
Let me tell you about this. Let me tell you about this. Grandma is taking the kids for the weekend.
Yes.
Because Dad's working late. There's going to be a night out.
Need some sleep.
Get some sleep, but he has to work, and then girlfriend picks up a dude at the bar.
Right.
Later on, they're sleeping together. Grandma brings the kids home because she's like, well, they needed some more stuff. And it's like, you shouldn't have brought the kids home. Get them out of here. But the kids are a little upset by that. So Mabel's like, listen, kids, go to school. When you come home, we're going to do big things, crazy things, huge things, things like you never seen before.
She very excitedly picks them up from the bus.
So she makes a lot of promises. She's like, don't worry. I know you don't want to leave, but you're going to go to school. When you come home, big things are happening. And she throws a party. It's her kids, and then some of the kids' friends, 3 other kids, and that they get dropped off by the father, who's never been at this place before. He says, my wife usually drops off the kids. She's a little busy. I am here. He wants to leave, but Mabel insists that he stays. And then you know what? Some stuff ensues, Jarrett. Some stuff ensues.
That's right. Well, eventually, Nick comes back, or like and he's very disturbed that there's a man.
Well, before that happens. The father of the friend's kids is watching what's happening, and he's like, because Mabel's being a little weird.
Yes.
She's getting the kids to do some strange things. She is doing some strange things. And then that father actually confronts her and just outright says, hey, listen, I think you might need to go to the doctor because there's some weird stuff going on.
Because she's talking nonsense.
She's talking nonsense.
And her mannerisms are just all over the place and very flighty. And it's kind of that uncomfortable feeling I think we've all had where you've met someone that might not all be there. And it's kind of like, I think something's happening. And for the most part, you can kind of blow this off if it's a person you're just meeting in the street, because you can be like, well, this is someone else's problem. Good day. And you kind of extract yourself from the situation. But this is a thing where it's like, oh, this is a person I know of and have children. And they don't, from what I know, don't normally behave this way.
Exactly.
No.
So he's a little put off by that. And then he actually kind of does the thing where he does the appropriate thing. He says, I think you need to talk to someone. I'm going to get my kids. I'm getting out of here. But she had also just instructed all the kids to get naked. So he's trying to clothe his kids.
Oh, yeah.
And then that's when Peter Falk comes home, and he's like, whoa. What is going on here? So that's where the violence ensues.
Yes. He starts slapping his wife.
He slaps his wife. He looks at the dude. He says, what are you doing here?
Yeah, he wants to brawl and throw down with this guy.
Yeah, because
get him out. Get out of my house. I want to beat the shit out of you.
Not to play the hand too soon, but Peter Falk is potentially also not in a great place. So he's just like, get out of here. And that guy's like, you're crazy. Your family's crazy. I'm going to leave out of here. And Peter Falk says to him, I'll kill you. I'll kill your kids. You better watch out.
Yep.
And then you go, Interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So, anyways, what else happens, Jarrett?
Well, I mean, all this pretty well just leads to him having to do something for his wife, who's clearly not doing well. And I essentially, it's like, yeah, she's going to be sent away to an institution for treatment because the doctor gets brought in. And there's like a whole lot of the awkwardness of that's played out Cassavete style, where it's like, oh, what's the doctor's name in this?
It's something crazy. It's like Zeppo or
Dr. Zepp.
Dr. Zepp.
Yeah. And so they're all brought in. And it's like kind of like this closing in, this slow realization of what's going on. And then, of course, so she goes away. And now things are left to the devices of Nick, who now has to like take care of all these things. I guess, like, is this the point where they're on that job site?
Yeah, this is where they're on. Well, because he gets her committed, and then he goes back to work.
Nope.
You need help with Mabel. You need help with the family, and he's just kind of like, "Hey, you all gotta fuck off. I don't want to talk to you." And then something happens as a result of that, right, Jarrett?
Mm-hmm.
What might that be?
Falling.
There's a man on the site that Nick yells at.
Yeah.
And then a couple moments later, he has a little tumble. And a stunt man, I think, takes a full dive down a cliff. And he gets fucked up pretty good. Like, it doesn't look like... I mean, even like stuntmen can do a lot of things. Like they're pretty versatile, but this dude takes a fall, right? A little tumble.
It is horrifying. It's like, whoa. Because like first you see a guy falling, you're like, oh, he just got shoved maybe a little bit off the end of that, and then he's like, oh no, he went like, that's like got to be like almost 100 feet. That he's just like sliding down this like dirt face. And you're like, holy shit! How did they do this?
Mm-hmm. Well, I can tell you how they did it. They paid this stuntman to actually fall down a hill. Yeah,
they're like, hey, they said, "There's nothing at the bottom. Take the money, or we'll get someone else." It's Los Angeles. Like, there's always someone out there.
We'll give you $100 to fall down this hill.
So now, does this production have insurance? No. Yeah,
do it at your own risk. $100, take it or leave it.
Yeah, that's some real trivia right there, folks.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, check it out. So Nick's got to take a day off. You know.
Yes.
he says this is too much. There might be problems, complications. There might be an investigation. I'm gonna go take care of the kids. They go to the beach.
In an uncomfortable scene.
Yeah, that's fun.
Yep.
Nick's got problems.
I think the influence, here's a hot take for you, Jarrett, was the influence in Unsound Man.
Unsound,
yeah. Because Nick, it's a relationship. It's, there's shit relationships like Sid and Nancy where you're like, I don't want to watch this stuff. But there's Nick and Mabel where it's like they're both unwell mentally and they feed off of each other. And that's not good either. But Mabel's a little bit more so. And that's why she gets taken out of the equation.
In the Kent Jones essay that accompanies this movie, he talks about how like the thing that seems to be the thing for Nick is that he is not handling well the perception of his family falling apart. It's not like it's like how people. It's about how people view it, and that's when he's reacting really strongly and like erratically and talking about he will kill you, he will kill you, and strikes out at it because the comfort, the structure that he wants a family to be in is like under threat, and he has no way of controlling it, and other people are seeing it, and that's when he loses his mind. We just see. So anyway, just like. What is this? About an hour and 45 minutes?
Into the movie?
Yeah. When she finally gets released.
Yeah, it's a pretty far down the line.
Yeah.
And then she gets released, and Nick's like, "I'm gonna throw you a big
party. We want a big
party."
party. Everyone's going to be invited, and then someone's like, "Well, I don't know if she's going to want to do this." Oh my God! Get the fuck out of my house! Can't be happening. This is a terrible idea. How could you have done this? And he gets everybody but the bare essentials parents, both sides, the kids, and that's all it's going to be. And that's some wrenching stuff. With her children, with her daughter, it's like, oh, do you want me to come over and hug you? Only if you want to, baby. Okay, I'll just sit right here. And it's like, oh God. And then they have a very, really fun dinner.
Oh, it's fun. Doesn't even begin to describe how fun that dinner is. Where it starts out with, maybe we should all go home. One person insists that they don't. And then it's like, all right, we'll stay. And then something bad happens. And then another person's like, we should all go home. Mabel keeps saying, everyone needs to leave. I don't feel well. And then they're like, nah. You're going to love this. You're going to love how we can just hang out with you. And then some bad stuff happens. And Mabel kind of looks to a family member and is like, hey, I need a little bit of help. And you know what that family member does, Jarrett? They just dab. And then they keep on rolling in the dinner party. They say, hey, guess what? We're just going to keep on rolling.
This is what's best for you.
Yeah, until it hits a point where it's like, yeah, things aren't great. Maybe everyone should go home, probably.
And then they do. And then things continue to go downhill.
A little bit.
Mabel cuts herself a little bit.
Just in her one hand.
Just her one hand.
Yeah.
And then, like, there's some more things with children running around. And more talking about killing the children if they don't stay in their beds, I think. Is that accurate? Is that, or is this
There's
all
a lot of talk of killing children in this film.
Yeah, okay. And then, like, Nick's lapping.
He's just like, what are you gonna do?
Yeah. It's old fashioned rearing of children, right? Yeah. Yeah, and so finally, like, the movie kind of has this, like, inconclusiveness, where it kind of just fades into the dark. Or not even into the dark. It just kind of, like, plays into the credits of them getting ready and just, like, settling in. And you're just like, huh.
Well, it kind of, like, there's some conversations that ensue afterwards.
Yep.
There's a little bit of fighting. Getting the kids to bed takes a while. Yeah. There's some physicality involved in that, Jarrett. And the way it ends is, the big thing about this movie is Nick sends Mabel away because of how she's acting. Mabel comes back. She's acting different, a little stilted. And the whole time Nick is like, be yourself. Yeah. Be yourself. Don't be anything else. Be yourself. So Mabel's getting a lot of mixed messages here, Jarrett. She was sent to an asylum for being herself. And then when she comes home and she's the way that she is conditioned to be, she's told to, nah, be yourself. So she's getting some mixed messages from Nick. And then the way it kind of fades out is Nick is just, he is not well. She is not well. They both admit that. And then better. Let's do this a little bit more. And then it's kind of like they're just both in a place where it's like neither of us are in healthy condition, but we're gonna do this because it works. It's what we're used to, right?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
It's a real celebration of the working class.
Yeah. So it is
a universal message we can all relate to.
A little bit. This is a difficult movie to watch. I think, to say the least. It is
it's a 2.5 hour film. And it's very loose.
Well, I mean, Cassavete is all about being loose. Is he not?
Loose and lengthy.
Yeah. Tell me what you think about this movie, Jer. Or do you want me to tell you? What do you do, bud?
What do I do? I mean, how do I feel about this movie? It feels like it takes the directionlessness, which is not about how directed this movie is, and it is directed, but there's a directionless quality to it that is very reminiscent of Faces. And it just kind of like extends that out more. It's like more cringe drama in the domestic sphere with people talking at one another, and I don't know if I'm always in the mood for that.
Okay.
And I don't know if I don't know if I would be in a big mad rush to rewatch this movie anytime soon. And I don't think that's the type of movie that Cassavetes was trying to make, a movie with like rewatchability, but rather than trying to evoke like a set of emotions of like what it would be like to live in this situation. It's very fly on the wall-ish, I guess. It's not quite a kitchen sink movie, I guess, or that'd be the right word for it. But yeah, I mean, I think that it's good, but I don't love A Woman Under the Influence.
I think that's fair.
Yeah,
very fair. I already played my hand last week or 2 weeks ago. I'm a bit of a Cassavetes dude. I like Cassavetes. I think this probably would be surprising to people because people would probably think I would hate these movies, but I actually like them. There haven't been any that I've outright disliked of what we've watched so far. And A Woman Under the Influence, I think, it's like I said earlier, I think it's a difficult movie to watch because there's frustrating things presented to you where you see the problem, you hope there's some resolution, and there's not. And I think that's difficult because like the way things play out, you're like, yeah, stuff works out like that, but maybe someone will kind of clue into this, and then it doesn't really happen like that. And then it gets the theme and the story of the movie are more of a bummer than anything else. And you're just like, fuck, you're like, that's kind of a bummer. I think the filmmaking, I think for this one is his most polished so far. It's like, and what I mean by that is,
okay.
You know what I mean? Like,
sure.
It's the most polished of them so far, but it still has Cassaveteisms where it's things that are out of frame. The focus of the camera is handheld. Focus of the camera is on things that it's like completely unrelated to anything else. It's like a lady's arm, and it's just like, I'm gonna focus on this arm for like 2 minutes, and you go, all right, yeah, sure, why not? And then what was I even talking about? Cassaveteisms. And then it's all loose, like you said. Like a lot of it was like improv, apparently, is what he liked to do a lot. Terrence Malick style, maybe. And then there's a lot of those things. So I like Cassavetes. I like A Woman Under the Influence. I don't know if I really, really like it. I think it's like I said, I think it's his most polished of any of his movies. So I can see appeal for certain mass population. Not the mass population, but like of Criterion jerks. Yeah, you're all jerks. If you're listening to this podcast, you're a jerk. Mm-hmm. We are jerks too. The Criterion dudes and dudettes, I could see this appealing to them more than the other ones, maybe just because it's a little flashier. But I do think it's got some problems, some of the more prevalent Cassavetes things that will be more apparent in other movies we watch of his also, where you're like, I know he likes doing things a certain way. It's like, I'm going to let this scene really, really breathe 15-20 minutes at least. And you go, I don't know if this needs 20 minutes. You're like, I think 5 minutes probably would have got the point across. So I like his long scene takes. Like, I think Faces it's actually done really well. And then this one, it's okay, but it's I don't know, it's a bit of a different doc. I like Woman Under the Influence, but I don't totally know. I don't know how to describe it too much. I think I did a little bit, but it's like this is one of those weird ones for me of his, because it's like I don't know where it fits in him. You know what I mean?
I'll have to take your word
You'll
for
have
it.
to. Did any of that make sense, or did I just ramble for 20
Yeah, I
minutes?
think you're. I mean, I think you're trying to.
Cassavete
I think.
style.
I don't know. It feels like you're trying to justify not being a big fan.
I like it. I like it more than some of his other stuff.
I mean,
Is what
I like that. I like New Hollywood a lot actually, and
Yep.
I don't know. This one ranks up pretty high in terms of popularity on my list of New Hollywoods. This is like number 5, but I feel like it's a letterboxed like pick.
It is 100%.
But I also think that people like what this movie's like, what the feeling of this movie, or maybe the idea of this movie more so than maybe they enjoy it. Like, I don't know. To me, I'm kind of like, I'm not feeling it. I'm not convinced.
I agree, and so Andrea has actually watched all of these with me.
Yeah,
and she was kind of on board with this, but even I'll talk about Chinese Bookie when we get there. But her and I both think Faces was the best one so far, and then which is different from you. You didn't like Faces as much as we did.
Well, I liked, but I think it's good. Like, I think it's it's a very good movie actually.
Yeah.
But I would say, like, for whatever reason, I think Shadows really like clicked for me, and I found like I think it's like I think it really just like I think that movie indicates a real change in how movies were going to be made. And I think it's like, for a historical perspective, I think it's like quite a landmark of a movie, considering it's just like first feature film, and it feels very ahead of its time, or just like slightly like of its time in America. And then I feel like Faces is him like kind of getting into what he's going to be making from that point on. It's way more indicative of his style.
100%.
And like, I don't know, like I said, like I love cringy domestic drama stuff, but there is something about how like the cinema verite quality of Cassavetes I don't feel is super convincing because of the improvised element of it. I feel like they could be better written, and I think that's like when you start writing stuff up, you can really appreciate it. Whereas like, I don't know, there's like no real dialogue in a Woman Under the Influence where I'm like, oh man, what writing? Like it's kind of just like, it's like written, but like there's no like, I'm not like hanging on every word. It's very performance driven, I guess.
I agree. That's very true. There's some of the dialogue. It's like some of this should have been scripted, because I think you could have. I think
it is scripted, but I think
it comes off strange, right? Some of it.
Yeah.
But anyway, yeah, I know you.
Yeah. Fact schmacks. So you're like kind of like, it's good.
I think it's good. I do like it. I just don't like it as much as some of the other ones.
So I guess like the one thing I should say, because like this movie was written and it was actually meant to be a play.
Okay.
And
that makes sense.
For Gina Rowland, and sure, she was like, "There's no way I can do this 8 times a week," and so it was adapted into a screen play.
That's cool.
So I mean, it isn't like, I don't know, but it feels like he lets a lot of room. I think it's also the way it's shot and how long things are let to go, and it's not edited down, and it's not going to be shot that way, so it feels everything's extended out longer. It feels like
Mm-hmm.
But
I agree.
He got nominated for best director for this, and she got nominated for best actress. That's a hell of a thing and this movie is like absolutely totally independent too.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, there's like a whole story of like I think it was like Richard Dreyfuss was on some talk show and talked about like after watching it having to go home and puke. And like they had to hand sell this movie. Essentially, they were calling up theaters and saying, "Hey, you want to watch this? You want to see this? You want to see
this? You hear this?
Yeah.
Seen it? Hey, speaking of Richard Dreyfuss, do you remember that SNL skit where it was like Star Wars and Richard Dreyfuss was C-3PO and he was like, "It's me, Richard Dreyfuss." Do you remember that?
No.
So in high school, 15 years ago, I would play that skit but just that part where it's me, Richard Dreyfuss. I'd play it at parties sometimes, just that, and people really didn't like it.
Yeah, I don't like it.
Not
right
the skit,
now.
just that one line. It's me, Richard Dreyfuss, and they all went, "Who the fuck is Richard Dreyfuss?" And I just looked at him like.
So you want to hear a one bit of what Pauline Kael had to say about A Woman Under the Influence?
Sure.
She condemned this film as a, quote, didactic illustration of R.D. Lang's version of insanity.
I hate the word didactic. It's a real word. I understand that.
Correct.
But I don't like when people use it. I have no idea who this lady is, by the way. I don't know if that's relevant to you.
No one's going to be that surprised.
What was her name? Arlene?
Pauline.
Parlene?
Yeah. This is good. This is good YouTube. People are definitely going to love us for not liking a Woman Under the Influence enough, and you don't know who Pauline Kael is. It's excellent. Excellent.
I don't give a shit because they're all nerds. You know it.
Killing of a Chinese Bookie.
2-year
turnaround. He's making movies again.
Yeah, he's trying.
With our good, close personal friend, Ben Gazzara. Who doesn't love Big Ben?
I'm a big fan of Ben Gazzara.
A synopsis. Cosmo Vitelli, the proprietor of a sleazy, low-rent Hollywood cabaret, has a real affection for the women who strip in his peep shows and the staff who keep up his dingy establishment. He also has a major gambling problem that has gotten him in trouble before. When Cosmo loses big time at an underground casino run by mobster Mort, he isn't able to pay up. Mort then offers Cosmo the chance to pay back his debt by knocking off a pesky, mafia-protected bookie.
Is that accurate? Yeah.
Yeah, that is the plot of the movie.
Yeah.
But there's a whole lot in there in between.
There's about 200 minutes in between.
Well, it depends on which version you wisely selected. When you pop that Blu-ray in and it says, would you like the 108 or the 135?
Well, is this the Criterion Creeps or the Criterion Give Upper guys?
Well, RJ.
Yeah.
So I when I popped this, I've seen this movie before.
Sure.
I watched this around the exact same time that I watched Faces and Shadows, and this was the one that kind of like spoke to me a little bit more because at the time I was all about those neo noirs, and when you look up these lists, Killing of a Chinese Bookie pops up often, and you're like, whoa, this Cassavetes guy's made a noir. Some sort of sleazy movie that's like, on paper, this movie sounds incredible. This is like, oh, this is going to be so good. This is going to be like Scorsese, but before Scorsese, or like contemporaneous. This is going to be great. What a great title. Can you agree, RJ? Killing of a Chinese Bookie. It's a powerful title. It's really good.
I mean, it sounds good to me.
Yeah. So I popped this Blu-ray in, and it gives me this choice of a 1976 cut that's long and a 1978 version that's shorter. And then I look online, and it seems like no one actually really says one way or another which version they prefer or which one you should definitely watch. Like, no one seems to even give a shit. And so I thought to myself, I'm like, well, John Cassavetes had the 1976 version come out. Nobody liked it. And then he recut it, and he said, yeah, this is the version people should watch. And I'm like, so what's the choice here exactly? I'm going to watch the version that's been widely available this entire time, and I'm going to watch this version again.
Can I interrupt for a second? Have you seen Killing of a Chinese Bookie before?
Correct. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Did you just say that?
I did. I did just say that.
I know who. What was that lady's name? Arlene. Arlene Paulinesville.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm listening.
You're listening. Okay.
Yeah.
So I opted for the shorter version because
fair enough.
I kind of know one of my issues with Cassavetes is length. What feels like his movies kind of feel long. Between Faces, between Woman Under the Influence, I'm like, you know what? If I can tighten that up a little bit, see a re-edited version, because he did this. He did the same thing with Shadows too. He edited that down a little bit as well. He's always reworking movies. He's a real George Lucas. Maybe the first time anyone's ever compared Cassavetes to Lucas.
Not the last, though, I'm sure.
Not now.
Mm-hmm.
So, The Killing of a Chinese Bookie opens up with Ben Gazzara. Remember this guy? Jackie Treehorn? You know Jackie Treehorn from Big Lebowski?
I know Jackie Treehorn, buddy.
Drawing dicks on notepads?
Who hasn't? That's the super bad approach. No? Did you get any of that?
Yeah, I know. No.
Doesn't matter. It wasn't a great joke, so whatever.
Very well. So, Ben Gazzara, nightclub owner. He's things are going great for him, and I don't know. This movie's very straightforward. It's very pulpy, but it's told Cassavete style. Everything's extended out, and my God, if this movie was not the Earthstone for Nicholas Winding Refn, the style of filmmaking, the colors and the way that this movie looks at times, incredible. And the other thing that I didn't mention with A Woman Under the Influence, and definitely in Killing with Chinese Bookie. So Bo Hardwood, are you familiar with this name?
Bo Hardwood?
Harwood.
Hardwood sounds like a Boogie Nights character.
So, Bo Harwood is a sound mixer, sound editor, sound engineer, music supervisor, composer, and songwriter.
That doesn't sound real.
Who worked on both these films. And I got to say, RJ, that is one of the highlights of these two films for me. The
score?
Yeah, the score in Woman Under the Influence, there's some pretty beautiful pieces of music in there.
Yes.
And in Killing of a Chinese Bookie, there's some damn fine beats that I'm going to include in the episode proper that are so nice.
I agree.
That go along so well with the visuals of this. These fucking scorching neon colors that just fill the screen. The one image that you just posted over on the Instagram, that looks like something right out of a Jess Franco movie.
No, you finish your thoughts.
Okay.
Sorry.
You're about to really react.
I was
there.
about to train derail you, but I can restrain.
So this movie, just on a visual, because this movie is what's the story about? It's about a guy who gambles. He brings his ladies out, and it's the saddest fucking gambling establishment of all time. And all I kept thinking about was Trump and how did Donald Trump roll back in this period of time? Well, this is again, that's Jersey and those Trump casinos that he somehow ran into the ground, even though casinos don't lose money, but somehow he's a very good businessman. Here, this is this doesn't look like fun. This isn't a place that you bring human beings, but this but it's I'm gonna bring my ladies out on the town. They're gonna dress up real nice. I'm gonna show them a very nice time. I just apparently finished paying off my other gambling debts after many years, and now I'm gonna pick things up, and I'm gonna just do it all over again, and rack up $23,000 in debt. And then when I ask for more chits or whatever they're fucking called, they're telling you, no, you're cut off. He's no, I got infinite credits. What are you talking about? No one gets as much as they want. Unlimited credit. And so now we got a problem. This is whatever you want to call it, the inciting incident, where now he owes a whole bunch of money to a bunch of bozo gangsters, which is great because realistically, these casino lugs, mafia-ish types, they should just be kind of bozo-y, kind of scary, but very nothing special. But there's Seymour Cassel. We're now looking a little bit more respectable than the last time we saw him out in Faces.
A little older.
With his nonstop chuckling and laughing. He looks refined.
Yes, he does.
No.
100%.
So Cosmo, we got to it's he's almost asking for a bank loan and having to justify, hey, it's what do you owe? It's what you got a club. It's a very nice place. It makes a little bit of money. I'm not one of these guys that doesn't pay his debts back. I'm going to pay your debts. Yeah, well, we're going to need you to sign some papers. And I guess he signs over the business.
It's kind of implied that He either is signing over the business or he's signing over more than he has.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
Right. So he gets to leave there very depressingly. And his ladies are with them, and they're kind of like, oh man. And even before that, there's like these little moments where like there's like guys that are like waiting their turn to come in to be basically like said, hey, you owe too much money. And it's just like the most pathetic thing. And like they have these like statuesque women with them. They're like, oh my god.
Well, so the whole thing is just a display of masculinity, Jared. He's peacocking. He's like, look at these girls I got with me. They go with me wherever I want. I'm gonna come in. I'm gonna go in this place that looks like it's like 1989 graffiti walls where it's like paint can, like brushes getting thrown on the walls.
Yeah, it feels like in a year it's going to be an arcade.
And 100%.
Yeah, like 100%. Like it's going to be like they're going to get closed down by the cops when they find out about them, and then they're going to get chased out of there, and then like some like business will move in there and be like turning it around for like a few years. Yeah, it's man, what a great piece of scenery that site was. So, Cosmo, what a name.
Cosmo?
Yeah,
Cosmo Kramer.
He brings the ladies back.
Yes, he does.
And he's like, oh well, problems always are floating there. But now it's like he's trying to go back to normal. He's gonna be like, that's behind me now. I got a club to run. I've got Mr. Sophistication. I've got his shows to go, which of course is also the name of Matt Dillon's serial killer name to the media in The House That Jack Built, which I thought was odd.
That's strange.
Yeah, Mr. Sophistication. So, yeah, Cosmo's like kind of going back to living life like he used to. The timeline of how things kind of play in the movie are going to be probably a little bit different for you and I. And again, the plot of this doesn't matter a great deal. It's about a vibe with this movie, perhaps to its detriment. So he's doing auditions and like trying to find some like new leggy lady with big breasts to do a show. There's jealousy from like one of his, I guess like his number one girl. More women getting slapped. Yeah. But then of course like, oh wait, he owes money. He owes $23,000 to these characters who show up and they're like, hey, what a great club you've got here. Wow. It's kind of like, are you sure you make a lot of money here? You make money here? Oh yeah, it's not too bad. And they're like, oh yeah, hey, we should go for a ride. Let's go for a trip. And they sit down and they have dinner. And basically at a Denny's, I suppose. It's like a kind of a breakfasty joint. And they're discussing how he's going to pay them back. And it seems like they're talking like around and around the issue of what they're going to ask him to do. And they're like, hey, it's like, what do I got to do? It's like, well, you could, there's a guy, he's over in, in Chinatown. And you're like, and it's like, yeah, what can I do about that? It's like, oh, you just take care of that. And it's like, well, I don't want to do that. Like, I don't want to. Like, no way. It's like, well, you were in the military. You saw some shit. You've killed Asians before, right? That seems to be.
Is that the implication?
I think that's the implication. It's like there's no difference. There's like, I mean, you kill them over there, you kill them here. What's the difference, buddy? And he's like, no, I don't want to do that. He's like, well, okay, what would you like to do? What would you like to do as an adjustment? It's like, well, I'd like to take $10,000 off what I owe. And they're like, oh, okay. It's like, well, how about you just like send some girls over? This guy we want to kill, he likes girls, and you bring him over here. And if you bring him into the club, you don't have to do anything else, and the debt's forgiven. And he's like, oh, well, yeah, maybe I can do that. Sure. Turns out that's not good enough.
Not well. It's never enough.
No,
right, Jarrett?
So he's not moving quick enough. He has this. He takes some girls, takes them out for Chinese food. He takes them to a Chinese movie. That I mean, I would have loved to know what that was, but
probably The Killers, the Criterion film.
It's a little too soon for that.
Well, yeah, but this is Cassavetes' world, buddy.
He's thinking ahead.
Yes.
So that doesn't work out. And he gets strong-armed. He gets worked over a little bit, saying, hey, now you got to do it. Like no fucking around. You're going to have to. Here's the gun. Here's the car. You're going to go do it like now, like immediately, kind of thing. You have like no like this. I don't know. It's very it's unique, and I don't know if it doesn't feel like Cosmo's asking the right questions.
Yeah.
And so we have this like entire like the night he goes to do this. Boy, what troubles he runs into. Tire blows. He's like on the highway. He runs to a payphone. He makes a phone call to like AMA.
Well, he does, something. and then he checks in with his club because that's all he really cares about, right?
Well, there's that,
and it's also to assert power and control over something he can control, right?
And there's also an element to me about establishing an alibi or something. Like I was that was going through my mind a little bit.
Yeah. That too.
So yeah, he goes and gets some hamburgers.
Well, he gets 12 single burgers. She wraps them individually, and he says, "Nah. That's too much work. Get that shit out of here."
Yeah. And then he heads on over to this Chinese bookie, and he Metal Gears his way through stealthily, and he gets the drop on this guy who's just hanging out in the pool,
Kojima style,
and we get a little bit of a monologue.
A little bit, yeah.
Yeah, we get you get some. It's like, bad dude. I'm a bad dude, and he's killed. There's like sort of like a whatever you could call a Cassavete style shootout. But old Ben Gazzara gets away, but he does get tagged, and this will kind of like hang over the rest of the film as he no-sells this because he's a hard man. He's in control, and he's like, I gotta get back to the club. I gotta make sure the songs are getting better. I gotta make sure the girls are doing good. And so of course he tells the men that had him kill this bookie that the job's done, and they're like, oh shit, you're not dead. Like, and it's like, what the fuck? It's like it's the weirdest plot that these guys have. Like, they're really like, you owe us $23,000 and we just want you to go over there and get killed yourself in killing what is actually this Chinese, like, triad guy. Higher up. That's why, like, why wouldn't any of us just go and kill this like bookie? It's like, oh no, this guy's a bigger deal than that. But he wouldn't have gone if we knew that. It's like, well, fuck. It's like, he owes you $23,000. He's going to do whatever you tell him. And then on top of that, you're like, oh, we just assume that you're going to get killed when you go to kill him anyway. And then we don't care about the $23,000, but we just need a guy. It's kind of like, I don't quite see the thinking of these goons.
Isn't that how it always works? It says, you owe money. Do this favor for us. However, no one expects this to work.
But it's a little scummy. I think it's kind of
it's
a little dirtbaggy. I mean, I expect more from these guys. Give them an honest shot. Would Tony Soprano do a guy like this?
He'll do whatever he needs to do, because that's what Tony's all about. He's making the hard choices.
No, I mean, I don't know. This is a distant cry. These Los Angeles criminal families, I mean, they seem a little bit more slipshod than the boys of Jersey.
They ain't Joyzy. Let me tell you.
Yeah, no, not at all. So, now the mob, whatever, they're trying to kill Cosmo. Cosmo's trying to stay alive.
Aren't we all, Jarrett?
Closer to the microphone, sir.
Aren't we all, Jarrett?
Aren't we all? So anyway, the rest of the movie, this movie is all style, is what I would say. Gorgeous. Music varies. Like, there's like the live act stuff. I don't know about this Mr. Sophistication. I don't know what they're going for. I'm not a fan of Mr. Sophistication and what he has on offer. I feel like I could get like a 5 guys off the street to be Mr. Sophistication, and I think they could do a little bit better than what this guy was doing. I don't know what Ben was thinking.
I think that's big if true.
Cosmo. So anyway, again, sort of for this genre piece of a movie, which I probably is like some of his movies like touch on melodrama, but like very far removed from that. And this is him doing a crime movie, and again, Cassavetesizing it.
Yes, 100%.
To whatever extent, but man, he embraces color like nobody's business, and I think I think on just like on a visual level, this movie's influenced like so much shit. Like vaporwave, this movie is.
Oh yeah, 100%. Vaporwave, synthwave, like the music and the color of this movie are like,
yeah. That all said, like,
yeah.
Again, the movie, it's a little, it overstays its welcome. I think it's like
a bit.
And there's just scenes that like you're like, okay, I get it, but like I guess a movie like this doesn't necessarily get seen, or if it does, it's usually like a Nicholas Winding Refn movie. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But like, that's like who's on my mind. Like it's like all these directors I like, and this movie I feel was a little ahead of that curve, and or at least the way he's doing it, like it's kind of like that fine line between, it's like something like Thief, for instance, like Michael Mann Thief, like Michael Mann stuff. I guess like this, I feel like probably had an influence, definitely probably an influence on that. But there's like a succinct quality to a Michael Mann movie that Killing of a Chinese Bookie has no interest in. So I don't know. Your mileage may vary on this movie, but I mean, I think it's very interesting. Like just on a visual level, just go screenshotting.
Yep, 100%.
Collect them all.
Gotta catch them all, buddy.
Because they sneak up on you too. Because some of the movie just looks drab as hell. Like it's like very like kitchen sink 70s crime looking movie at times, and then there's other times where you're in the club and you're like, fuck, that looks so good. And what a hell of a club. Would I like to go here? I'd be scared.
It's kind of like the Slice in Creepsville.
Oh, come on. Far from it.
That's the vibe I get from the Slice. It's not the color isn't right, but the grime.
It's a different kind of dank.
Similar. It's a different kind of dank, but I think it's similar.
Yeah. Okay.
It's the closest we got, buddy.
So those are my feelings, because this movie is about a feeling rather than anything, I think, intellectual. What did you think, RJ, of Killing of a Chinese Bookie?
Well, Jared, I have seen this film also beforehand. This is actually the first Cassavetes film I've ever seen. So this kind of set in my mind what I thought Cassavetes films were like for all the other ones we've been watching. First off, Andrea hated this movie. She thought it was real shit. So she's watched all of them with me. Her favorite was Faces. She thought Woman Under the Influence was not bad. She thought that, she was like, I think about half an hour into this one, she was like, this is the worst one. And I was like, oh yeah, why? And she's like, it's not good. And I was like, oh, what an interesting take. Like I like not like a dig to her. I was like, that is actually a good point. Why is this one bad? Because it's just bad. I was like, all right, that's fair. So that was her opinion. I like Killing of a Chinese Bookie. I think it's good for a few reasons. And what you kind of said earlier, I might be the apologist for these two Cassavetes films, but I think the score that you brought up earlier is great. I think it's so good in this movie, and with A Woman Under the Influence too. Like the scores for these two movies are terrific. Killing of a Chinese Bookie, the color, oh my god, the reds in this movie, so much red, and it's so nice. It looks great, and the whole time you're watching it, you're like, man, this looks good. It's all those scenes where he's coming down from the dressing room, and he's walking down the stairs, that red light's beaming in, and then he's just like he's just embossed in red, and you're like, oh god damn, that looks good. I do like the plot take on masculinity, which is how it's sold on the book, but I think more than even just a general term like masculinity, it's about a guy who thinks he's better than he is, and not better, but like it's a dude who thinks he's top dog, and then he gets tricked into situations where he is shown that no, you're not that good. You're about right in the middle of where you should be. And then he's like, I think he has a realization of that, and then near the end it kind of flips too, because he gets that false like sense of like overdoing it, where he's just like, I am that good because look what I've done. What was I talking about? I like the plot of this movie is what I'm trying to say. I like the way some of the scenes are played out, like that dude who is the reanimator evil scientist, I think. That's who that guy is, right? Like the bad guy from Reanimator.
Oh shit. Is that who you think it is?
If that's not who it is, those two dudes look identical to each other. I didn't look it up. I'm just like, when I was watching this, I was like, I'm pretty sure that's the guy from Reanimator. I'm not gonna look it up though, because I don't. I didn't care enough.
I know you're talking about, but I don't think that's the same guy.
He looks very similar though, right?
Well,
is that like tall, skinny head?
I'll find him. I'll look him up. Yeah. There's a bunch of different options here.
That guy's bounces between being annoying and then being like.
Because you're thinking about are you thinking about the guy who's like in like the Kubrick movies, right? Are you thinking about him?
No. So in Killing a Chinese Bookie, he's like the tough guy who who instigates a lot of stuff, beats him up a little bit. And then the scene I really like is when they take him out to dinner. They're all kind of talking casually, and then he leans over and he's like, "This guy owes us money."
I know you're okay. So that's Tim Carey, I think you're talking about, who was in like Kubrick movies, and but
not in Reanimator.
No, I don't.
What you're trying to tell me?
I think so. Here, everything's going very slowly right now. But I'll send this to you. You let me know if this is this, because this guy's pretty. If it's the guy I'm thinking of.
Are you telling me that's not Bruce Abbott? No, wait, that's a totally different dude. David Gale is maybe who I'm thinking of.
I sent you the guy that I think you're talking about is Tim Carey.
Okay, let me open up my Facebook, because me and Jarrett are over 30, so we both use Facebook. And I'm gonna pull up Timothy Carey, and yeah, that guy.
Yeah, that guy. That is not the man you seek.
Okay, but in Killing of a Chinese Bookie, does he not look just like the guy in Reanimator? Oh, come on.
He looks like Tim Carey.
That guy, he looks like the guy.
Yeah, because he's in Paths of Glory, The Killing, and he's in some other cool. Yeah, he's going to be in Minnie and Muskowitz. Remember?
I don't know what that is.
That is a John Cassavetes movie. RJ. I'm
going to think of him as the Reanimator guy, and I don't care if it's accurate or not. I'm just going to do it. So, anyways, I like that guy in this for some of the scenes he has, and then other scenes he's kind of annoying. Mr. Sophistication is the epitome of sad drama kid grown up. This like the burlesque show is. I think he does actually a good job of selling it as like. There's people who like find the appeal in it, but it's also like a really lazy kind of like depressing burlesque show where it's they're just on stage. That's all they do. They're just on stage. And then you're like, is this real life? And it's like, yeah, those are real places. I've been to one or two of those. And it's like, of course you go in and you're like, well, Jarrett, I didn't say what kind of place. Totally reputable. Mm-hmm. But you go into those places and then about 10 minutes in, you go, I'm kind of bummed out being in here. And that's the kind of place he runs. So I like Killing of a Chinese Bookie for a few reasons. It's like I said, I think the color, the score, I think the ideas it kind of brings about are really good. It's too long. And Faces, I like how long it is. I like that the scenes have time to breathe and develop, and then that's where you get some of the really good stuff. In this, I think they try to do that, but it's not quite there. But I do like Ben Gazzara a lot. I think he is super cool, more or less. Yeah. He's a weird dude, but I do like him in this movie.
I feel like maybe even the half-hour shorter version that I watched feels long.
Yeah.
That's the Cassavetes feel.
Seal.
Feels long.
Feels long. Yeah.
And that can be okay, right?
It can. Yeah, 100%.
I mean, if we choose to only prefer things that don't feel like time is passing. Is that a virtue? And then perhaps we need to revisit Qui-Gon, you know?
Quite long, did you say?
Maybe it's a virtue to be slow.
I'm never going to watch that fucking movie again. Neither will you. You're never going to watch Qui-Gon again, are you?
Are you going to watch Killing of a Chinese Bookie again, is the question.
I've seen it twice.
Wow. Third time's the charm?
Third time's the charm. It won't be for at least 10 years.
How do you feel about this movie on second viewing? As this was your first Cassavetes, and now that you've seen 3 more Cassavetes?
I definitely have a spot for it where I think I like it more than it's worth, if that makes sense. And
there's no such thing.
I like it more than it's worth. And the one thing that stood out to me, because I said to Andrea, I was like, I've seen this before. And she's like, what's it about? And I was like, well, it's about this. But I was like, but that's not really what it's about. And she was like, well, what do you remember? I was like, I only really remember one scene. And it's where he's sitting in the change room smoking, just talking basically to himself. And all the ladies are walking across the camera. And that was my first Cassavetes experience, where I was just like, I actually thought it was really unique, where I was like, he doesn't give a fuck what's in the frame of the camera and the lens. He just has people walking through and things like that. And I thought that was really cool. And then now that I've seen more, it's like, yeah, I get it.
In my mind's eye, I really, for some reason, still think that he dies at the end of the movie in the club. And you actually see it.
Yeah.
Which doesn't happen at all. In fact, it just ends with him hopping off the stage after doing one last introduction, and then when he jumps, all this blood kind of comes gushing out of his wound, which is like pretty like, whoa. Mm-hmm. And then he kind of just walks out, and then you never see him again. You keep thinking, oh no, then it's Mr. Sophistication, and then you're like, wait, that's it, and that's the end. But in my mind, it's like, oh no, you see him die. And people, or he sits down and dies, and then he's bleeding out, and that's it, but nobody notices. But again, that's a fiction. It's in my head. And does that make for a better movie?
Is that better?
No, but it's just in my brain, I guess, and that's like seemed to be where I thought the movie was moving toward. Like I know he gets injured, but like the time from when he gets shot to the end of the movie, it's quite a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And like it's a him like kind of like having lots of conversations with people, and like, oh no, I'm fine.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's what masculinity is all about, Jarrett. I mean, if you look at me, I'm the epitome of human health.
Look at you.
Did you get that?
I got it.
Yeah, good.
Well, you want to hear about who hates these movies?
Yeah, why not? Let's go for it.
And the great piece of music that we've been talking about, the Bo Harwood piece, is particular during the audition scene, is Rainy Fields of Frost and Magic.
That's really funny.
You'll have to repeat that.
I just said I think that music is very nice, and then I was going to say I think that audition scene is super funny because she's hopping around and he says,
Stop
quit doing
around, and she continues to do it.
Quit jumping, and she keeps doing it, and I actually like that.
Me too.
Yeah, it's good stuff.
So for A Woman Under the Influence, we have a 0.5-star review from Poop Fart. I said, dude, I do it for you. I do it all for you.
A man for the people.
Needed more confusing voiceovers and Oklahoma references and depression. I understood what was going on when I watched this, so it is a bad movie. An intelligent fellow like me prefers to not get a single thing when I watch a movie. I am smart.
I like this guy a lot. Favorite films include Click from Adam Sandler, The Longest Yard from Adam Sandler, Sandy Wexler from Andy Sandler, and The Wedding Singer from Adam Sandler. I think we're saying Andy Sandler for some reason. I think this is a troll account.
Yeah.
But 0.5-star films include Pulp Fiction, Antichrist, and Call Me by Your Name, which is good. I like that. 5-star films are Adam Sandler films, and then also Kundun. Kundun.
Okay. The Marty movie?
Yeah, and then Jack Frost, the Michael Keaton movie.
5 stars.
5 stars.
Wow.
Yeah. I mean, that movie's got a line in it that I'll never forget, but you'll have to listen to our old episodes to hear about it.
And from Sydney, half a star. Okay. This one's long. Sorry, but I really couldn't stand this film. This is one of the few times I almost couldn't sit through it. I wanted out, and yet there were at least 2 hours left to go. I just couldn't connect to the characters, finding them to be almost grotesquely fake and failing in their attempts to seem multifaceted. Each scene was painfully long, and the characters spoke in roundabout conversations that often felt completely pointless or so repetitive I wanted to bang my numb head against the wall just to feel something. Everything about this film felt so impersonal and uncentered to me. I think I would have liked it better had it been framed entirely from the point of view of Mabel. The only scene I liked were the shots of her trying to find a bar at night while that piano music played. That was the only moment I really felt the atmosphere, felt a connection and interest in the character. It's live-action films like this that remind me how much these writer-directors could benefit from watching animated films. Wow.
Well, maybe.
Yeah. You can have something be slowly paced but still deserving of its entire runtime because it makes every scene, every minute matter, even if the intention is to make us feel slowed down, feel like it doesn't matter. A film like this would benefit from that kind of thought, from the strict planning animated filmmakers approach their work with.
Huh.
Holy wow.
Is that all of it?
That's it. That is the hottest take I think I haven't come across in a long time. Because, I don't know, the thing that this reminds me of is Werner Herzog talking about storyboarding. And he's like, so this is the opposite of that. Like, this person's like, I think people should storyboard more. Like, that's what they said. That's what, literally, almost like that. They won. Like, every movie's fucking storyboarded now, unless you're Werner Herzog.
Mm-hmm.
Who's like, he likes new digital cameras because they're fast to start up. He's like, hey, I want to film that iguana. Then you just do it. Like that's.
When did he film an iguana? Because I'd love to watch that movie.
Bad Lieutenant.
He films an iguana in that movie?
Yep.
I didn't know
some
that.
kind of lizard. I don't know.
That's kind of cool.
Yeah. Tell me about Sydney.
Sydney's a odd one, but I will give them credit for one thing. They have a ton of rated films, but they only have 25-star films. So definitely the lowest of their rated films, which is like, I kind of like that. For speaking of like animated movies, they don't actually even have that much. They have Spirited Away, Lilo and Stitch, Move On, Goofy Movie, and Ratatouille. So it's like, all right. Other 5-star films are like Little Miss Sunshine, Truman Show, and It's a Wonderful Life. That's pretty cool. For half-star films, Jarrett, this is where it gets a little weird. So there's things like A Woman Under the Influence. It's like, okay. The Lost Boys. It's like, all right. Mickey and Nicky. Future Creep. And
also Peter Falk.
Also Peter Falk. You go, that's strange. Here's some other half-star films, though, Jarrett. The Wild Bunch. Casablanca. The Sister Brothers. Good Will Hunting. E.T., Star Wars Princess Bride, and why don't we just say The Searchers with John Wayne is also a half a star.
Okay.
So strange, right?
Yeah. Well, I mean, they all could learn something from animation.
Well, clearly.
Okay.
Clearly.
Over on Killing of a Chinese Bookie. Half a star from Milk Carton 19.
Okay.
Straight fucking garbage.
Fucking garbage?
Straight fucking garbage. Bud.
You know what? I think what's straight garbage is their 1 star for Blade 2. One of the finest films we've ever talked about on this podcast.
No.
They also just gave Brightburn a half a star review that says absolute shit.
Wow.
They're only 5-star
articulate
films.
Milk Carton.
Mm-hmm. Do you want to hear about a couple of their only 9 films they've rated 5 stars?
Okay.
So there's Lawrence of Arabia, Taxi Driver, Matrix. That's fine. But there's also 3 Billboards, Fight Club, Blade Runner 2049. So you go, I don't know about this.
I don't know either. And one more for the road. Evanston Dad, half a star. I feel like that name's come up before. I don't know.
I think so too.
I found this film to be nearly intolerable. John Cassavetes, in many ways, was a love him or leave him director. His films were never easy. He definitely required his audience to work, not sit passively and let his films quietly come at them. I don't mind this approach to filmmaking, but I do require that the rewards I receive are worth the effort I bring to the experience. Not so here. The killing of a Chinese bookie simply wore me out, until by the end of the movie I could not have cared less what happened to anyone in it or to the story itself. This is Cassavetes at his self-indulgent worst. The only thing I liked about this movie was Ben Gazzara, who I've always thought was a fine and overlooked actor. Grade F.
No. So this person has like 18 billion 5-star reviews. So I feel like off the bat, you know that that's not totally right. But when we go to half-star reviews, Jarrett, half-star films. Hey, Jarrett, do you like Face Off?
It's pretty decent.
Do you think it's half-star film?
No. It's definitely at least a 2-star movie.
I agree. What about Con Air?
That movie's the tits, as they say.
What about The Fountain?
I'd have to rewatch it.
What about Happiness?
Outstanding masterpiece.
What about The Beach Bum?
Pretty good.
What about Jurassic Park: The Lost World?
Bad.
What about Watchmen from Zack Snyder?
Not great.
What about The Patriot, starring Mel Gibson, The Fallen Son?
Nothing special.
Well, maybe you like this person. Maybe you and him should have a podcast.
Maybe.
Well, anyways, they gave Happiness a half a star, so you might not be on board with them.
Okay.
Potentially.
Any final thoughts here on Cassavetes Chapter 2?
I don't know. I like Cassavetes. I think he's a cool dude.
Yeah. Do you like him enough to watch one more movie plus a 200-minute long documentary?
I'd rather watch 2 more Cassavetes films than a single more Bergman movie.
Oof.
Even though I actually do like Bergman, it's just like, it's Bergman overkill at this point, you know?
Well, we got Fanny and Alexander to rewatch in like a
Which
little
is
bit.
one I actually really like. It's like
in like a month we'll be watching it. And
it's just so much Bergman.
It's so much Bergman.
So much Bergman.
All right then. Well,
what are we talking about?
Too bad we have to watch some more Cassavete still, and that's not the worst.
Okay, cool.
That's not the worst, right?
No, that's fine.
After the break, we go walk off into the night, gunshot, still like fighting with her wife. But that's okay.
Is that how that's supposed to work?